Before we begin, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Strange history exists to examine the tools that actually kept people alive long before modern laws, branding, or bureaucracy decided what was, acceptable. If you care about how ancient warriors survived real violence, exposure, and scarcity, well, this is where those conversations really belong. 2,000 years ago, survival wasn't a lifestyle or a hobby. It was the baseline condition of existence. Warriors didn't separate combat gear from survival gear because, honestly, everything they carried served both purposes. What's striking today is that many of those tools, once common, practical, and life-saving, are now restricted, regulated, or outright banned in many parts of the world. Not because they failed, but because they worked too well, lasted too long, or blurred lines modern systems prefer to keep separate. This isn't nostalgia. It's an examination of function. The multi-purpose blade that modern law struggles to define. Ancient warriors rarely carried single-use weapons. Their blades were tools first and weapons second. Roman legionaries carried the gladius, but alongside it many also kept utility knives used for cutting cordage, preparing food, shaping wood, and basic repairs. These were not ceremonial, they were daily survival instruments. What made them controversial by modern standards was their design. Broad, durable, and capable of penetrating armor, they were equally effective at work and war. Today, blades of similar proportions fall into legal grey areas. Length restrictions, carry laws, and weapon classifications turn what was once a necessity into a regulated item. The reason is simple. A tool that functions equally well in peace and violence makes modern regulatory frameworks uncomfortable. Ancient warriors had no such separation. Fire kits that removed dependence entirely. 2,000 years ago, warriors carried fire as a skill, not a convenience. Flint, steel, and tinder were standard kit. Fire meant warmth, food, water safety, morale, and recovery. Entire campaigns depended on soldiers being able to create fire independently of supply lines. So, in some modern contexts, fire-starting kits are actually restricted in public spaces, disaster zones, or travel environments. Open flame regulations and transport laws, well, they make carrying such tools increasingly situational. Ancient warriors understood fire as a survival right, not just a controlled resource. Their independence was precisely what made them resilient. Compact throwing weapons were designed for both combat and hunting. Many ancient cultures equipped their warriors with throwing spears or darts that could double as hunting tools. Roman pila, Greek javelins, and similar weapons served to disable enemies and, when supplies failed, to procure food. These days, throwing weapons fall under broad weapon bans in many regions. Their dual-use nature, being effective at a distance without mechanical complexity, places them outside acceptable civilian categories. What's uncomfortable, really, is not the danger, but the efficiency. These tools required no ammunition factories, no maintenance infrastructure, and no resupply chains. They empowered individuals completely. Armor that functioned as climate control. Now that's quite something to imagine. Ancient armor was not just about protection. Leather cuirasses, layered cloth, and scale armor actually helped regulate temperature, block the wind, and absorbed moisture. Soldiers would adjust these layers as conditions changed, Armor was worn continuously, not just put on for battle. These days, modern equivalents, protective gear that combines armor, insulation, and environmental resistance, are, often restricted or heavily regulated outside professional contexts. Body armor laws in many regions actually limit civilian ownership entirely. Ancient warriors didn't separate defense from survival. Protection was constant because, honestly, danger was constant. Medicinal kits that blurred the line between survival and healing were essential. Ancient warriors carried herbal knowledge, poultices, and basic surgical tools. These were not just symbolic, not at all. Infections, wounds, and illness killed more soldiers than weapons ever did. Self-treatment was survival. Many ancient remedies used plants or substances now regulated or banned due to misuse or misunderstanding. While modern medicine has advanced, access in crisis situations can vanish quickly. What's striking is how much knowledge has been lost, not because it failed, but because it existed outside centralized systems. Tools that made soldiers self-reliant rather than dependent. Axes, entrenching tools, and compact saws were common. Warriors built shelters, cleared paths, repaired defenses, and processed food. These tools turned individuals into problem solvers rather than dependents. Today, many such tools are restricted in public carry contexts or categorized as weapons despite their primary utility. Once again, function creates friction. Ancient survival philosophy valued capability over compliance. Why you can't carry these tools today? Modern society prioritizes predictability. Ancient survival gear prioritized adaptability. Tools that allowed individuals to operate independently, move freely, and solve problems without oversight challenged systems built on regulation and control. This doesn't mean ancient warriors were reckless. They were pragmatic. Their survival depended on competence, not permission. The lesson here isn't to romanticize the past, it's to recognize what has been traded away. Ancient warriors survived because their gear served multiple roles, required minimal infrastructure, and trusted the individual to use it wisely. If this kind of historically grounded analysis matters to you, subscribe to the channel and share this video. Survival knowledge didn't vanish because it stopped working. In many cases, it vanished because it worked too well. Strange history.